And it's lights out. Welcome to the Pitwall Podcast, the pre-Mexico Grand Prix edition. I am your host, Jeanmark, and joining me this evening is my bro, Dominick, my father, Dr. David Kessler, and of course, our cat, Itsy Bitsy, which seems to notice anytime you want to do the podcast, she's like, give me attention! Just like all of you out there. Thank you for being a part of our great Pitwall community and giving us some attention. Last week, I got hit with crazy laryngitis. And so it's good for my voice to be kicking back in. But if it sounds like it's starting to get tired out, well, that's because I've been talking for hours and hours today because of work and now the podcast. But let's get on with the show. After our great discussion last week about what would happen if Verstappen finds himself trailing behind Perez at the Mexico Grand Prix, I like that discussion, so I kicked it over to Twitter. Here's a promo, of course. You can follow us at Relsick Racing. It'll show up as the Pitwall. And 30 of you gave a response. If Perez leads the Mexico Grand Prix after one lap, followed by Verstappen, what does Red Bull do? 16.7% said, let him race. 3.3% says tell Verstappen to block Hamilton. And then the majority of you, of course, resorted to team orders, either using pit strategy for Verstappen to lead or outright getting on the radio and telling Perez, let Verstappen by. But I am a part of those 3.3%. I would love for the team to say, Verstappen, just race Hamilton. Let Perez get his home race victory. It would be amazing. But as we talked last week, and you guys could probably agree again tonight, that's probably very unlikely to happen.
I look at the 16.7% who responded, let him race, and I wonder if they misread the question. So what do they think Red Bull will do, not what do we hope Red Bull will do? I cannot believe that with the title this close, they would even risk any kind of points that they could get for Verstappen.
Here's the thing. Remember last podcast, you said it depends on Perez's race pace.
Yeah.
If Perez has good race pace, it's better for them to let him race because then Hamilton's going to try to do an undercut on Verstappen and won't be able to do that because Perez is going long, right? So if he actually was fast enough, they probably would want to leave him ahead so that even when he pits, he could block Hamilton. But normally they probably would not let him be ahead of Verstappen.
So if you change that and said if Perez leads the Mexico Grand Prix with one lap to go and he's ahead of Verstappen, would they have team orders for him to pass Verstappen on the last lap?
That's such a crazy question. I'm gonna put that on Twitter tomorrow. I'm gonna put that on Twitter tomorrow. If he's leading with one lap to go, what do they do?
Okay, because look, this reminds me of the most shameful moment. One of the most shameful moments in all of Formula One history was, I don't remember who the two drivers were, but it was Ferrari.
Rubens Barrichello and Michael Schumacher.
They said, hey, let him pass, even though the race was basically over. And you saw the hesitation, but he did, and that's just disgraceful. No, I don't believe that should be what they would do.
Okay, Dad, what do you think they would do if there was one lap left?
If there was one lap left and Hamilton was behind Verstappen, I would say they'd let him go. They'd let Perez win.
It's now time for our driver lineups heading into the Mexico Grand Prix. Here is one admission. When Australia got canceled and they moved around the schedules, I was under the false impression that Mexico was back-to-back with the U.S. That's why we put League DRD last week instead of this week. That means that there's been lots of trading, which normally happens when there are 2 weeks in between races. For those of you, and this is not an ad, this is not hashtag ad, but if you want a great app for helping keep track of drivers' sentiment going up or down, I downloaded the F1 Fantasy Alert app. They've been trying to develop it over the last few months, but it's gotten really consistent now. F1 Fantasy Alert. And that'll give you when the sentiment goes high or low, and usually it gives you an hour or two. It depends on how quickly, of course, it's rising and lowing, but it usually gives you enough time, and then you'll get another alert if the driver has changed or the constructor has change in price. Now, Dad, kicking over to you, while you did download that app and you've been using it for a couple weeks now, what was the dilemma that you were faced with?
Typically, I don't carry my computer around with me. And so I got this notice that there was a change in BOTAS and I couldn't make a change on it. Also, it was on Sabbath, so I don't make changes on Sabbath. But I have a challenge. I might have to find out how to make changes without my computer.
Well, so that's what we were talking about last time. We need to figure out how to use the F1 app for you, and then you go down to the fantasy section. I think they should just have a standalone F1 fantasy app. That would make it really nice, just like fantasy football has their app.
I agree. I like my fantasy football app, and if they had something for fantasy one, I bet you more Americans would follow it also.
If you're hearing us, get an app, a standalone app, please. Well, they'd probably have to work with PlayOn to make it. It'd be interesting to see if that would actually be within their desire to make an app.
Or just make it super easy to find on the F1 app. It doesn't have to be its own thing.
Just make it a lot simpler to find. Dominick, let's start off with your lineup heading into this race. It sounded like you were trying to do some juggling as it pertains to your budget.
I finally have a team that looks different than what I've been running for the last couple of weeks. The big change is I finally was able to afford Perez at the horrible, horrible price of, they're like, what did it cost you? And I was like, it cost me Ocon. Now I have him on my team as well. But it's a step in the right direction with a couple races to go. Perez has been looking pretty nice. So hopefully he'll be an asset to my team, and we will see if I can get some extra value out of some of these drivers going into this next week.
True.
Are you planning on turboing Perez since you have him on your team now?
Well, according to this picture, yes.
How many subs did you use?
2. I had to drop Ricardo and Gasly.
You may not have a lot of wiggle room, but it's always good to have one sub in your pocket. Dad, your lineup.
So I ended up trying to pick up a higher driver who's doing better. So instead of Sainz, I picked up Ricardo. Then I realized that the Ferrari seemed to be doing better. So I was looking at the price of Norris versus Sainz to maybe try that. But I don't have enough pay gap to pick up Sainz in place of Norris. So I'm just hoping that the McLarens will do better than the Ferraris at Mexico.
And what's the cost difference between Ricardo and Leclerc? So Ricardo is a 15.8 and Leclerc is a 17.6. That's still too big of a gap, yeah. Whereas Sainz is a 14.7 and Norris is a 14.2. So you need a $500,000 increase in order to make that switch.
And I have 0.2 difference.
Which also leans into this day trading because Verstappen went down by 0.1 million. If I was day trading, I would have dropped Verstappen and picked up a Bottas. But like you said, because of the timing, it wasn't feeling right. But I guess I could have got you another 0.1 million. But then how many subs do you have left right now?
So I'm going to double check and see if I had 1 sub or 2 subs, now that you asked me that. Because if I have 2, I wonder if I should swap out for Sainz and then bring him back.
Oh, because he's about to go up. And if you could, then you can get that cost cap difference while you're ready.
I could do that. Let's see. I'd have to get rid of Ricardo, get Sainz, and then replace him back, right?
Yeah. So how many subs do you have now?
I have only used 1. I went from Sainz to Ricardo. Now I'm going back to Sainz, and I'm going back to Ricardo.
Some day trading shenanigans. Well, you might as well do it if you're not planning on doing any other subs, right? Get that cost cap difference.
Once I get the point, whatever I get when Sainz goes up, then I'll...
because Leclerc was also trending down. So if Sainz is going up and then you're going to make the change to eventually bring Leclerc in, then you're getting that cost cap differences.
Well, if I could get Leclerc, but I can't. That's like 2
Oh, you want to keep
million.
Norris and Ricardo. So what you could do is you could switch from Ricardo to Sainz, and then if Sainz for some reason goes on a tear and gains a bunch of value, then you could switch out Norris for Ricardo.
No, I'd like to, but I don't have it depends on how much I get for Sainz. I don't have enough cost cap to get.
You're at a 0.2, and if Sainz is about to go up, then you'll get a 0.3. Then you just need 0.2 more.
Right, somehow. Any other people are going to be changing?
Well, none of the ones that you're trading. Who knows? Sainz might keep going up. Maybe you have a really good free practice session 1-2. Suddenly he's up a 0.2, and then Leclerc goes down 0.1, or Ricardo goes down 0.1. Then you're able to pick him up.
Isn't that sad? That happened to me last week too, or last time. I had someone on my team, swapped them out, and then they ended up gaining.
Yep, that's...
Oh, that was the McLaren. I had the McLaren. I went to Red Bull. And then McLaren, all of a sudden people started changing for McLaren again. It's like, what? Why are they doing that? But then I couldn't do it because I didn't have enough substitutions.
That's why I sit on my subs. I know a lot of people day trade in the week between, but I try to sit and hope that the guys that I picked are going up. And so then when it's closer, then I make my picks later.
I agree. I think next year I'm going to have to do that is wait until someone's up in the 80s and then swap them out. And if I find out how to do that on the app where it's portable, then I could rely on that. What's happening is basically I was having to make a decision once a day at nighttime to decide what I was going to do. And if anything happened during the day, I was pretty much out of it.
Well, like if I still had my wild card, if I saw all this move, I would have wild card this week. I bet you could have gained $1 million this week off of day trading. Wow. In your cost cap gap. Which brings me now to my lineup. Because I have the habit on Team 1 to make minimal trades, I'm actually getting some benefits on Team 1 because Sainz is about to go up, Bottas already went up, and because I didn't have Verstappen, I didn't lose any value. Of course, the plan is to switch out Bottas and get up Verstappen. But on Team 2, I had to make the decision. Okay, I personally am going to have Verstappen as my points pick. So there's no reason for me to drop Verstappen and pick up Bottas or one of these other drivers that were changing up and then switch them back in the case that maybe I want to make a change right before the race. For sure, I'm thinking about picking up Leclerc instead of Sainz, but look, it was better to sit on Sainz because Sainz is about to go up in value, and then once I trade out Sainz for Leclerc, then I get that cost cap differential. I don't think I'd be making many other changes, but once I know what's going on, then I could then switch out Verstappen because I don't plan to switch out Red Bull anytime soon. But again, put in the comments with your thoughts, who you're wanting to pick, and of course, stay tuned for the 3 statistical secrets on Friday because that's where I give my last evaluation for the week, heading before free practice session 3 and qualifying. Although we did League DRD last week, I do want to promo to you our one race challenge. Each race, you get an opportunity to submit one team. Find the code in the description below, and you can see how you stack up against other teams. If you get on the top 3, you'll be able to get a special podium ceremony at the end of the next Race Reaction podcast. Here are the 2 rules that we abide by. Number 1, we do base scoring. So if you have a mega driver used, no worries. It'll help your other leagues. But for this one, we take that out of the equation and only do the base score of that driver. Second, if there is a tie on points, the team with the lowest value will get the preference as it pertains to being on the podium. Last week, we had 6 people who got gold and only 3 of them could be on that podium spot. There you go. It goes to show that even with a team not as valuable as other ones, you can still compete at a high level. So look forward to all you who will join and see how you stack up in the Mexico Grand Prix.
It's time for It's in the Numbers. Last week, we had Kesko once again giving us the correct answer. Numbers were 504, 35, 486, 21, and those were the laps led by Verstappen versus every other driver this year in leading laps. So congratulations, Kesko. You continue to impress us with your knowledge. We've got a new one this week, so Dad, go ahead and take it away.
Well, we have a historic one this time. The numbers are 1969 and 2018. The hint is historical Mexico Grand Prix. The question is name the drivers. So if you have a good idea and want to guess and write it down, if you're right, we can give you a shout out.
And for this one, it'll be important to explain why, because you might have a lot of different drivers that you can choose from. And so you want to get the right pairing and tell us why, and we'll be able to give you a shout out in our next podcast. Now to a special segment pertaining to the Mexico Grand Prix. Let's kick it over to the Google spreadsheet. You can find the link in the description below. Dad and Dominic, you guys are going to work together here. We have the winner of each race from 1963 to 2019. There were some gap years, so the ones that are bolded show you when they started racing again at the track. There are 2 lists that you guys are going to be filling out. On the left, the country of which the driver comes from or races for, and 2, the team the driver was racing for when they won. So there is the drop-down menu. It'll show you your options. You guys are going to work together, and when you are done with the list, then we will be able to check it.
I was kind of hoping that the first drop-down was what country they won. I feel like that would make this considerably easier.
So we have to know where Jim Clark, that sounds like a very English name.
Okay, hold on. Before we start, let's knock out the easy one, okay?
Okay, the easy one is Hamilton.
Hamilton is from Great Britain.
That's BRA, right? Britain, BRA.
He's from the UK. I don't know the technicalities.
What's BRA?
Brazil, I'm assuming. Oh, here's UK.
All right.
That is from the Netherlands, right?
Okay, so we got those two. Nickel Rosberg. That sure sounds like a German name to me.
Wait, bro, do you know the answers to all these? So you can just correct us if we're wrong.
I did something cool with this spreadsheet. It'll tell us the answers.
Red Bull Racing.
Okay, Nickel Rosberg. He was German, I believe.
And he was also for Mercedes.
Nigel Mansell. He sure sounds like a Spaniard or something.
According to this, he is.
I don't see a Spaniard.
What do you mean, according to this? What are you looking at, bro?
According to me cheating.
Don't be cheating!
How am I supposed to know then?
Because you guys are guessing, and then we'll look and give you help. Don't be cheating! Don't be cheating!
All right, so don't tell me what you looked. I'm going to have to guess this on my own since you looked.
I've disqualified myself for this first one.
For how much of it? Did you look at all these? Huh? Okay, so don't.
Nigel Mansell.
Okay, well, I guess I'll just have to say UK.
Well, type in chat what you think for these answers. Also, you can laugh at people and trying to figure out Dad and Dominick's ignorance. Of course, I know the people here, but this is my opportunity to help educate Dad and Dominick. Continue on. What about Ayrton Senna?
Senna sounds Brazilian to me. Prost, French?
Was he French?
Alain Prost.
Is that France, right?
Sure, we'll go with France.
We was watching a movie with him in it. I think I remember them saying that.
All right, well, there we go.
Okay, so here is our first stage, okay? First stage, we'll start with the easy ones, okay? You got 5 out of 5, 2, 4. You got 5 out of 5 correct for the locations. Good job, okay?
We got 5 out of 5?
Location.
For 2015 to 2019, you got 5 correct.
No. Right, so so the ones that we've been, near history, we've gotten right. And who put the team? Jeanmark, Dominick, you put the teams? Because we're good with those teams.
You also got the 5 teams correct. That is correct. So you got a complete correct of 2015 to 2019.
Okay.
We got every single one of the other ones wrong.
Okay, now looking from 1986 to 1992, you got 5 correct out of 7.
Oh.
So go back and see which ones you think were wrong.
Okay, so Prost is France and Senna is Brazil. Okay, so that's 3.
Yeah, you got Gerhard Berger wrong and Riccardo Patrese wrong.
Give us the first letter of the country they're from, and then act like that won't give us pretty much the correct thing.
I can't even remember what we put last time.
Okay, let me give you a clue. Let me give you a clue. Gerhard Berger helped fund Toro Rosso, and he is the same nationality as the guy who owns Red Bull.
Austrian, right? Because Red Bull is an Austrian team.
Look at that. You got it.
Cool. Okay, so now the other guy.
Riccardo Patrese. Okay, go through the countries that you don't think it sounds like he's from.
It sounds Italian to me. Actually, Patrese.
Oh, look at that. You got it. Yeah, Riccardo Patrese. Look at that. You got it.
Riccardo Patrese.
Oh,
good job,
so
Dad.
He's Italian. Because
yeah, he's Italian.
Start stereotyping, all of a sudden we know exactly who it is.
Okay, and then perhaps the hardest one from 1963 to 1970, you got 0 correct.
Really?
So Jim Clark is not from the U.S. Okay.
So one of these guys is from the U.S., though. It's obviously Richie Ginther. It's America. Let's see if it's
America. Richie Ginther.
Oh, see, I told you. Got it right. What a guess.
Ginther, okay. Okay, so Jim Clark, if that's not USA, that has to be England. Right. He has to be from Great Britain.
Cool. So we got Clark, Graham Hill, maybe also UK. Okay, cool. We knocked out those ones.
Gurney.
Dan Gurney.
Let's see what the options are.
Well, let me ask you one thing, okay?
Do
Europeans shorten their first name like Americans do?
No.
Dan, notice his name's not Daniel, it's Dan. A very 1960s US thing to do, right?
Whoa!
What about Jim Clark? Is Jim not short for something?
Interesting. I guess my point is mute now because, Jim Clark did the same thing. Oops.
What's Jim short for?
Jim is short for James.
Nah. I was about to say, is Jim short for Jimothy?
John.
Jimothy John. Okay.
Okay, give us one more hint.
What countries have you not used? That's what I'm saying.
Have we used Belgium yet?
I think Icky must be from Brazil.
Wow.
Oh, Belgium?
His name is not Icky, Dad. His name is Jackie, and his last name is Ix.
I don't think he'd like if you said his last name was disgusting.
Jackie Ix is Belgium, okay?
Yes.
Who else? What country have we not used yet? Use New
garage.
Zealand.
You have not.
Okay, so obviously it's Danny Who. Oh,
Kill me.
please edit that out. I'm sorry. That was just wrong. I apologize for that. I do not know what I was thinking there. Okay, so we got John.
John
sounds
Surtees.
like a very UK sounding name. Wow, wouldn't you know? Okay,
Good job. Good
and that
job.
was the easy part. Now we have to guess team.
Teams from the past that we don't know anything about.
With the names, you could kind of guess based on the name sound, but I got no idea on these teams. I'm not going to.
You know what's interesting is I don't see here is Michael Schumacher. He never won this race. Wow.
Michael Schumacher started winning his championships when they had the gap between 92 and 2015.
Oh, so Prost was from Ferrari, huh?
See, he was actually on Williams as well. Why is it Williams? It was Williams.
He was in Williams in the 90s, bro. This is 1988.
McLaren. So McLaren Ford. No, come on.
1988, McLaren Honda. They won all but one race that year.
I don't know why I was saying Williams. I meant McLaren. My bad.
He was Williams in the 90s, 93. Okay, so now you know that. And now here's another clue. Alain Prost's teammate won the next year, Ayrton Senna.
So also McLaren, right? Okay, cool.
So you think Alain Prost went to a Ferrari the next year?
Yeah, he did. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
It's because he felt like Senna was getting preferential treatment from the team. He knew he couldn't beat his teammate, so he had to go to another team. Okay, I'll give you a clue about Nigel Mansell. He's a British driver for a British team.
Was he Williams?
Yep.
Okay, but which one? I'm going to go with Honda. Cool. Okay, those were the relatively easy ones. Wait, was he still Williams Honda for this one as well? Nope.
How do you know he's saying nope?
Wait, hold on.
The number isn't updating.
Okay, so by then Williams had switched to Renault.
Oh, I see. The number
Which is
updates.
why Prost was able to go to Renault in 93, is because Renault, being French, wanted a French champion. And that's why Nigel Mansell, who had dominated in 92 and would have definitely won in 93, wasn't offered the job in 93 because they wanted Prost.
Okay, well, those were the easy ones. For these other two, I have no idea.
Okay, Gerhard Berger. So that means that he was racing for a team not as a teammate of any of those other guys in 86. So
okay, well, I'm going to go with Benetton, and I was correct somehow.
Wow. So that was pre-teammate days then, in 86. He was with Benetton, BMW. And then now you have Riccardo Patrese, the Italian.
I go with Ferrari.
Swing and a miss. Okay, if it's not Ferrari, then it's
Williams.
Okay, let's put things in perspective, okay? Ayrton Senna won his last championship in 91. So the McLaren Honda was pretty dominant. So who else could have won races during that time period? The only reason Ferrari won in 90 is because Prost was driving. Williams was winning after that. There you go, Williams, Renault, because Riccardo Patrese was there before Nigel Mansell and Prost were dominating.
All right, we did it. But the good news is, since all of these on the list have to be used, that means that we have a lot of teams that have not gotten represented.
What are all the teams' options?
We still have Lotuses to do. We still have Honda. We have Maserati.
Wow. Two different Lotuses?
Brabham. Yeah, we'll show everyone who's watching. Yep. So we have Brabham Climax, Cooper Maserati, Honda, Lotus Climax, Lotus Ford, McLaren Ford. They're doing the brute force method.
Oh, Lotus Climax.
So your first clue is that Jim Clark won with Lotus Climax, but he did not win with them again.
Hey,
but he won with Lotus, now being powered by Ford.
That's smart.
Okay, cool. So we knocked out Jim Clark. Graham Hill.
Think of a British-sounding car company. You guys are just brute forcing it.
Yeah, still Lotus.
Lotus Ford. So Jim Clark won with Lotus Ford, and the Graham Hill won with Lotus Ford.
Uh-oh. Why did this one get switched to Mercedes?
Because Dad is just brute forcing it. He's not thinking. He's just guessing.
I'm thinking. I
mean, to be fair, I have no idea, bro. Okay, one of them has to be right.
Ferrari.
Hey, we got a Ferrari.
Finally. Just think of all the things we're learning tonight, Dominic.
I have not done Maserati, so I'm going to say that this one is Maserati. Okay, but we have also not done Brabham.
Brabham.
Now you're doing what I was doing, brute. Just figuring out.
Oh, come on.
I got Brown. Look at that. You got
Brabham
Red Bull.
Climax by Dan Gurney.
There you go. Brabham Climax.
Brabham.
Brabham?
The H is silent. Brabham.
Brabham. Okay.
Honest, this is a painful exercise in futility. Hey, McLaren, very cool. We just need
So
to
Denny
figure out.
Hulme, a New Zealander, raced with McLaren, which originated from New Zealand.
Apparently, Ginther raced for Honda.
Come on, man.
John Surtees is a British driver. Go for a British team. You guys haven't put Maserati in there.
Yeah.
Cooper, which is a British team powered by the Maserati engine.
That should have been the easy one. Literally the process of elimination. But
We were already brain dead by that time.
And there we have it. Thank you so much for joining us on this amazing Pitwall podcast. Thanks, bro, and thanks, Dad, for joining me. And it's amazing to see how the Americas will play out. So stay tuned for the 3 statistical secrets that I'll be dropping on Friday. And until next time, we'll see you on the Pitwall.